Biodiversity conservation is a global imperative, and there's a lot of work done by partners, by governments, NGOs, communities, development partners to protect, secure biodiversity and also ensure its sustainable use. But one priority that's often neglected is the equal benefit distribution from the use of these genetic resources and biological material, the very material that is protected through the Convention on Biological Diversity.
Ni weni mati ertu satu ngo bikin rekeni tuki ko talita kina no gumai tiku ngome kena bi waten dona law klan sage ki mati ni ngona me bi waten kena lawa mainan dona ngono balawu abakan doni kina saini kino viti na protocol mai Nagoya gai mai mo wa mozeritu ndabo na bale sa kena mati ni singandango.
The final outcome should be that the resource owners are comfortable and we remove the fear from them. So it's our responsibility, the university, UNDP, the government, to ensure that they remove that fear and for them to know that it's also their benefit as well, have confidence in our system.
The Earth's biological resources are essential to humanity's economic and social development. Our biodiversity is vital for our survival, and the continued exploitation of our ecosystems and the threat to our species has never been so crucial as it is today. In the Pacific region, our biodiversity is still largely preserved. However, there continues to be unregulated over-exploitation of its marine and terrestrial resources. Research and development continues on the use of our genetic resources for commercial purposes such as pharmaceuticals, cosmetics and other products. There is a growing concern that soon these natural resources will be depleted from excessive exploitation and with very little, if nothing, given back or returned to the resource owners.
We as locals or as indigenous people, we have a group of plants that we know the names and we know their uses, and most of these have been passed on from generation to generation. But as a scientist, I quickly realized that there are a lot more plants or species out there that even the locals don't know anything about. So that's what makes research into this area very, very interesting.
In Fiji, there has been ongoing debate on the use of genetic resources. And while research continues in this area, resource owners are raising the issue of access benefits.
This workshop has actually brought together all the landowners, all these NGOs and all these resource owners into the one room to just discuss avenues of how we can better put in place procedures and processes in terms of benefit sharing.
For the first time ever, an opportunity was created that brought together all stakeholders to further explore and discuss the issue of access benefits sharing, or ABS as it's commonly known.
First, the word access benefit sharing is probably new in Fiji. The spirit of that protocol, the Nagoya Protocol, is ensuring that genetic resources and its associated traditional knowledge, are given due respect for the protocol when developers and researchers want to access it, and the benefits are also shared equitably.
The National Community Consultation Workshop on Access to Genetic Resources and Benefits Sharing, ABS, was held in July 2018 in Fiji, bringing together all those concerned to contribute to the draft policy on ABS that will serve to guide and benefit resource owners, government and developers.
Lebu sarna ulutanga lebu me nambiwa te mereni tauzo kina na lawango. Yo, kakeze vital notaki. Ni oti Indonesia me laurai ni rawini irna tokini umbula. Wini na mateni tu wini pakatanga kina irna vivator taki.
On 29 October 2010 in Nagoya in Japan, the Nagoya Protocol on Access Benefits Sharing, or ABS, was adopted. The Nagoya Protocol provides a transparent legal framework for the effective implementation of one of the three objectives of the Convention on Biodiversity, which is the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising out of the utilization of genetic resources. The Nagoya Protocol addresses traditional knowledge associated with genetic resources with provisions on access, benefit sharing and compliance. It also addresses genetic resources where Indigenous and local communities have the established right to grant access to them.
This project that we have here in Fiji is one of the very few that we have globally that attempts to look at this particular area of the Convention on Biodiversity, which attempts to connect the work that's happening in terms of biodiversity protection and the sustainable use of biodiversity and bring it back to communities and ensure fair and equitable distribution of benefits to communities in a particular context, in our case in Fiji.
While Fiji is rich in biodiversity, there's been little attention given to the value of its genetic resources, especially in terms of the access benefits sharing. The lack of any laws or legislation to safeguard the exploitation of these genetic resources has been a major cause for concern, not only for the government, but especially for resource owners.
We have this guideline, the guideline for those who are conducting research in biodiversity and bioprospecting. And if you read that guideline, you'll see that about 80% of the document is talking about the importance of resource owners, the importance of traditional knowledge, yes, making sure that these are taken into account during the research, and really acknowledging that these genetic resources and the knowledge therein with respect to these resources belong to the indigenous or the Itoke, the resource owners. And in fact, it is I think it is actually a document that is being used as a basis of this new ABS framework. Yeah?
While the guideline exists to safeguard the resource owners and the keepers of traditional knowledge, it doesn't, however, prevent researchers from abusing the trust, simply taking resources and knowledge without the proper acknowledgement to land and resource owners.
The main objective is to be able to give and take both ways. Yeah? So researchers coming in here should be able to give something as well, and the community to give something in terms of uses of their resource. So you have the provider.
The university is wary about international researchers. Yeah? Those are coming outside of Fiji, coming in without the knowledge of anybody, coming in, they talk directly to the landowners or the resource owners, do research, they go back, and the resource owners do not benefit at all from that. Yeah?
The University of the South Pacific Institute of Applied Sciences has been working closely with several communities in Fiji over the years, conducting their own research, while at the same time facilitating research for international researchers.
The work we do is on genetic resources because we extract chemicals from living things like marine organisms. And so it is relevant because our experiences in the research that we do can inform the policies within ABS. We have actually worked under this project with the government, so we kind of provide the hands-on experience by we helped develop a consent form to go to the communities, and we did the community visits, discussing all our work with them.
One of the criterion or one of the guidelines, the requirements that the researchers should convert even their research findings into the vernacular language, into the Fijian, and distribute this to the resource owners.
A major point of contention from land and resource owners is the lack of proper procedures, especially in seeking permits. Researchers often cannot wait too long to get approval, therefore exploring other avenues to fast-track the process. For the owners, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Researchers and developers cannot just shortcut the procedure and manipulate the process to serve their needs.
The concern from the Tauki, the traditional owners, the access has to be done properly, and having a standard protocol is essential for that. And third, I believe, is the benefit sharing mechanism. There are some existing mechanisms that Fiji is currently using, but to be able to apply that to genetic materials, that's even more, I think, important. The biggest gap which that necessitates the current policy is the development aspect. When you say development, these are commercial interest that wants to develop genetic material into commercial products. Commercial products such as medicine, cosmetics, and beverage.
I think it's time now that we really need to look very closely at the access and the benefit sharing of any natural resource. I think it's not really taken into consideration in terms of negotiations, especially in the area of intangible values, because I think when you're looking at intangible values, these are actually the basis too of our culture and of our indigenous societies.
The policy will have to look at ways of safeguarding that, the knowledge is not abused, or the source of knowledge is not recognized. We've been listening very well to the discussions this week, especially on that topic. That is a big component of the policy, is ensuring that associated knowledge is recognized with genetic resources.
Traditional indigenous Fijian medicine is widely recognized and accepted in Fiji and used to cure many ailments. It is clear that traditional medicine plays an important and significant role in the well-being of a section of the population in Fiji. The significance of this traditional knowledge needs to be recognized with proper protection and preservation of its use.
There was a cabinet approval in year 2000 to develop a traditional medicine policy. It's called the Traditional Medicine and Complementary Medicine. So traditional medicine means plants that are Fijian, and complementary medicine are other imports from other countries, like Chinese medicine, Indian, Malaysian. Those will be grouped under complementary medicine. So now finally, we now have a draft policy that we'll present to Cabinet.
Makipani Tudika is a traditional herbalist and church steward. Over the last few years, he has healed hundreds of people with all types of ailments, from broken bones to cancer. His gift, he says, is from God. He prayed and fasted to receive the gift of healing because he simply didn't want to see people suffering. He cures all ailments by simply using extracts from local plants. These plants, which grow nearby, are mixed together and brewed.
Ke wakaindu na tabi mate la ko mai ke rubita longa me wasia me non tabi mate au sana reida nga yang ona na buni kau me mena wai se te bu sanga na nungu reida o tinga nungu masu tinga ya mo de nimbongi au sa reida na kuro ni sa tu ke de kina ko na walula ka wada ka berto na level 5 ngo ke ko liu walu tos chun tabi mate sa lai chini ka va lai chini ka diuna kau ya do me sa ngoro saranga tu tabi talo chokina go sa rusa ka bulu kali mana kulini kau ko sa sanga chungo ve mate ndui era sa di bocho mena wengo eu wa bina kan ni lebur sali suma era sa me wa bina tak ni rasa bambulai.
Science knowledge is acquired and traditional knowledge you can inherit, it's passed down. So soli talanga. So it's very important to see these two sources of knowledge as complementary and not not one paramount over the other. If you look at the intention is to create a cure for whatever disease if the intention is to promote sustainable development and create a better life for the people, then whatever tools we have available, whether it's traditional or local, we need to be able to be equipped to use that. The first step is to acknowledging that they exist.
E tolu sanga bulu kava na mate kona ndui tabi mate au sama ingarava kar sama bandi ntar resambul.
With the National Community Consultation Workshop, the stage has been set. What needs to happen now is action. The consultation on the draft policy has brought all the relevant stakeholders together to dialogue and to understand the role of each institution involved in the process of access benefits sharing. A significant first step was the launch of the ABS database, accommodated within the Institute of Applied Sciences at the University of the South Pacific. This database provides local and international access to researchers and anyone interested in Fiji's biodiversity and genetic resources.
I think what's happening in Fiji is great, and this is a very important discussion. And so often we do have researchers that come in, just do what they do, and then they go off, and then you don't really know what happened to the sample. So it's a very important development in Fiji, and Fiji is way ahead of many countries in the Pacific in terms of what we are doing. And we're happy to be part of this conversation to help the government come up with their ABS policy.
This is a very interesting work, one that requires a combination of research and bioprospecting on various samples and items, cataloging them, but also a very heavy element of work engaging communities, going out and doing consultation with them, bringing communities and the producers of different items and substances, bringing them together to really understand how does this value chain work and how can communities benefit, say, from the production of kava, production of medicinal herbs and similar products by commercial producers.
Fiji should be able to create an environment that promotes the culture of research. curiosity and innovation, and not just in a scientific way, but also in a traditional way. Our ancestors were scientists themselves. That's how we come to inherit this knowledge, and we need to continue that for our future generation.
UNDP, as the implementing agency, will work closely with national stakeholders to motivate increased investment in protecting biodiverse areas and the genetic resources they contain. Among some of the goals the project aims to achieve is raising awareness among Fijian communities of the benefits of biodiversity and genetic resources, and to also increase national capacities to institutionalize and enable the Nagoya Protocol on access benefits sharing to operate more effectively.
Fiji happens to be the very first country in the Pacific where we started this initiative, but I know that a lot of other countries in the Pacific are keenly following the developments in Fiji to see how a similar initiative can apply to them. UNDP's role overall is to help the Pacific Island countries protect and nurture their biodiversity, promote inclusive growth, and also strengthen the resilience of communities, particularly in the face of disasters and adverse effects of climate change.